The weight of a bowl of soup, bust. Margaret set the bowl of chicken soup down on the table with a heavy thud. Half of it sloshed over the rim, staining the tablecloth in a dark, greasy puddle. Drink. Drink all you want. What good is it going to do? I stood at the kitchen doorway, a plate of stir-fried greens in my hands, my fingernails digging crescents into my palms. Mum, the doctor said my body just needs 6 months to regulate. Please don't worry. 6 months? Margaret let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Let me tell you something. My neighbour, Auntie Wang's daughter-in-law, got pregnant 3 months into her marriage. You've been here 3 years, and not even a whisper. Tell me honestly, is there something wrong with you? James, my husband, was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He didn't even look up. Mum, lay off a little. Am I wrong? Margaret's voice climbed higher, sharp as broken glass. We paid $18,000 in bride price for you. Our whole family scraped together every penny. And now? Not even a grandchild to show for it. Do you have any idea what you owe us? I set the greens down on the table, forcing my voice to stay even. Mum, I never touched a cent of that bride price. It all went toward the down payment on our new apartment. The apartment that's in C-or-R name. Margaret slammed her palm on the table and shot to her feet. Don't think I don't know. That's your dowry property. My son hands over his entire paycheck every month to pay the mortgage. That apartment is already half his... Mum, James's salary does go toward the loan, but the down payment and renovations were entirely mine. We agreed on that before we got married. Agreed? Agreed on what? Margaret jabbed a finger at my face. You're just a hen that won't lay eggs. You siphon my son's money, you hog his house, and you still have the nerve to act high and mighty? I inhaled slowly, turned, and walked back to the bedroom. James followed, closing the door behind us. Babe, don't fight with her. She's going through menopause. Her emotions are all over the place. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring out at the city lights flickering through the window. James, answer me honestly. Do you think what she said was okay? She's just old and talkative. Don't take it so personally. He dropped into his desk chair and clicked open a game. I'll talk to her later. You're too sensitive. Sensitive? I stood up. She called me a hen that won't lay eggs. You heard that. I heard, and I said I'd handle it, didn't I? He pulled on his headset. Look, just go out and have dinner with her. I'll finish this round and join you. I watched him for 3 full seconds. Then I opened the door and walked out. In the living room, Margaret had already cleared the table of everything except her own bowl. She was scooping rice into her mouth like she hadn't eaten in days. Oh, I thought you weren't coming back out. I sat down at the table and picked up my chopsticks. I'm eating, Mum. Eat. Fatten yourself up. Maybe then you'll be useful. She chewed noisily, her words muffled. I had a fortune teller do the math. If you're not pregnant by March next year, you're going to the hospital for IVF. And that money's coming out of your pocket. I don't have a dime to throw at your problems. The next morning, I was still half asleep when I heard voices from the living room. I pushed the door open and found Margaret rummaging through my wardrobe. Mum, what are you doing? Just tidying up. You have way too many clothes. She held up the coat I'd bought last month, turning it over like evidence at a crime scene. How much was this? About $280. $280? She screeched. You make what, $4,000 a month, and you blow nearly $300 on a single coat. My son's hard-earned money. This is where it goes? Mum, I bought that with my own salary. Your salary? Once you married into this family, your money is my son's money, and my son's money is this family's money. She threw the coat onto the floor. Look at this closet, wall to wall with clothes. Do you wear even half of them? You're just burning cash. I bent down, picked up the coat, and brushed the dust off. Mum, I've been working for 3 years. Buying myself a few decent things isn't unreasonable. Unreasonable? It's obscene. Margaret planted her hands on her hips. That money could have gone toward IVF. Do you know how much a single cycle costs? I asked around. Minimum 30,000. You're buying clothes because you don't want to start a baby. That's the truth of it. James emerged from the bathroom, his hair dripping. What now? Look at your wife! $300 on a coat! Margaret pointed at the floor like the garment itself was guilty. James glanced at me. Babe, you really should tighten the belt. We've got pressure. James, that was my year-end bonus. I didn't touch our household money. Your bonus is still money. He toweled his hair dry. Just return it. Let's keep things simple. I looked into his eyes. There was nothing there that wanted to defend me. I can't. It's past the return window. Then sell it online, Margaret cut in. I'll list it for you. I'll hold on to the money until the IVF. I said nothing. I turned and walked into the kitchen to make breakfast. My phone buzzed. A message from my mum, Linda. Sweetheart, how are you? Is your mother-in-law giving you trouble? I stared at the screen for a long moment, typed a few words, deleted them. Finally, I sent one character back. Fine. That evening, James stayed late at work. Margaret and I were alone. She was on the couch, TV blaring. I sat at the dining table, answering work emails. I need to tell you something, she said, suddenly turning the volume off. Go ahead. I'm moving in. My fingers froze over the keyboard. Mum, you've got your own place back home. What's the point of living alone? Your father-in-law's been gone years. I'm all by myself in that empty house. Moving here, I can take care of you both. She said it like she was announcing a foregone conclusion. Besides, I need to monitor your health. The things you eat, no wonder you can't conceive. Mum, this apartment only has 2 bedrooms. Where would you sleep? I'll take the study. Move the desk into the living room. She stood and pointed at me. Let's get one thing straight. This is my son's home. I have every right to live here. Don't start with your nonsense. I stepped onto the balcony and called James. Your mum says she's moving in. Did you know? Yeah, she mentioned it. I heard a lighter click on his end. What's the problem? You agreed? She's my mother. What was I supposed to say? He sounded irritated. Don't be difficult. She can cook, clean, make your life easier. James, I can't live with your mum. Why not? She's been good to you. Soup every day, helping around the house. What more do you want? His voice went tight. Stop making everything into a drama. I hung up. The balcony wind cut through my clothes, and I couldn't stop shivering. Inside, Margaret was already rearranging reality. Once I move in, the study is mine. Those books of yours, toss what you don't need, sell the rest. She flipped through my shelves with disdain. What's the point of all these? They don't put food on the table. Mum, those are my professional reference books. I need them for work. Work? Look at you, pretending to be intellectual. She dropped a pile of them on the floor. My son got a community college degree, and you? Big shot masters. And you still can't give me a grandchild. Margaret made good on her word. The next day, she hired a moving truck and hauled everything from her old place over. When James and I got home from work, the living room was a maze of cardboard boxes and plastic-wrapped bundles. Come on, help out. My legs are killing me. She was planted on the couch like a general. I looked at the piles: a vintage sewing machine, yellowed quilts, bags stuffed with odds and ends. "Mum, we won't need most of this." "Won't need it. I've used this sewing machine for 20 years. Works perfectly. I can make all the baby clothes myself." She tore open a plastic bag. "These are James's baby clothes. I saved them for my grandson. Think of the money we'll save." James laughed, crouching to sift through the tiny garments. "Mum, you really kept all this?" "Of course. I've been ready for years, just waiting for the two of you to get your act together." She looked at me. "Though I wonder if one of you ever will." I didn't respond. I started clearing space in the living room. By 10, everything was roughly in place. James showered and went straight to bed. I was alone in the kitchen, washing dishes. Margaret appeared behind me. "I found a traditional Chinese medicine doctor for you. We're going tomorrow. Take the day off." "Mum, I have an important meeting tomorrow. I can't." "More important than having a baby?" She grabbed my arm. "If you don't go, you're being unfilial, and I'll tell James to divorce you." I turned off the faucet and faced her. "I said I can't tomorrow. Can we go another day?" "No, tomorrow." She released my arm, her eyes wide and bright with rage. "If you stall again, I'll go to your parents. I'll make them answer for their barren daughter." That night, I didn't sleep. James snored beside me. I lay awake, watching the ceiling lighten from black to grey. I didn't ask permission at work. I just went to the doctor. The clinic was deep in an urban village. No sign, just a converted house. The old doctor, maybe 70, his hands spotted with age, took my pulse. "Nothing serious. Uterine coldness. 3 months of herbs and you'll be fine." Margaret leaned in. "Doctor, just coldness? She's been trying for 3 years." "Patience. Once she's regulated, nature will take its course." He wrote out a prescription. 1 dose a day, boil for 2 hours, 3 months. On the drive home, Margaret didn't stop talking. 3 months. 3 more months of waiting. When will I ever hold my grandchild? I kept my eyes on the road. At home, Margaret started boiling the herbs. The whole apartment smelled bitter and earthy. James came in and wrinkled his nose. "God, what is that?" "Your wife's medicine. 200 a batch, not cheap." Margaret poured the dark liquid into a bowl. "Here, drink it while it's hot." I looked at the black sludge. I raised it to my lips and drank. Bitter. So bitter. Good. Bitter medicine works. Margaret took the empty bowl. 2 a day, morning and night. I'll be watching. No skipping." That became my routine. Morning and night, I'd choke down the liquid, the taste clinging to my tongue through meetings and lunches. One night, I worked until 9. When I got home, Margaret was waiting. "Where's your medicine?" "Mum, I had overtime. I didn't get to brew it." "Didn't get to?" She stood up and pointed at my face. "I asked you to take leave. You didn't. I asked you to come home early. You didn't. You're doing this on purpose. You don't want a child at all." "Mum, I had deadlines. The project is tight." Project. You're a woman. Why are you working so hard?" She picked up the remote and threw it against the wall. "Your only job is to have a baby. Don't you understand?" James came out of the study, game controller in hand. "What now?" "Your wife won't take her medicine. She doesn't want to give this family a child." Margaret started crying. "What did I do to deserve this? A daughter-in-law like this?" "Babe, can you just cooperate?" James frowned. "My mum spends all day brewing that stuff for you, and you're not even grateful." I looked at both of them, one weeping, one annoyed, and suddenly felt hollowed out. Fine, I'll drink it. I went to the kitchen, boiled the herbs, poured the dark liquid into a bowl, and downed it in one breath. Margaret nodded, satisfied. That's more like it. Next time, don't wait to be told. A month of the herbal regime, and I'd lost 10 pounds. Colleagues asked if I was on a diet. I just smiled and said I'd lost my appetite. One afternoon, Margaret showed up at my office. The receptionist called my desk mid-meeting. Emily, there's an older woman here. She says she's your mother-in-law. I froze. I hurried downstairs. Margaret stood in the lobby, clutching a thermos. Mum, what are you doing here? Brought your medicine. You forgot it. She shoved the thermos at me. I saw you leave without taking it this morning. Thought you'd try to sneak one past me. I kept my voice low. Mum, I didn't forget. I took it at 6 before you woke up. Don't lie. I heard you leave at 6:15. You never touched the stove. Her voice rose. Don't try to fool me. You're drinking it right here, where I can see. People were starting to stare. Please, Mum, let's talk about this at home. Home? Why should I wait? She grabbed my bag. You're drinking that medicine now, or I'm coming here every single day until you do. The receptionist looked paralyzed. I unscrewed the thermos, poured the bitter liquid into the cap, and drank it, in front of everyone. Margaret smiled, satisfied, and left. When I got back to my desk, Lena Wang leaned over. Emily, you okay? Fine. Your mother-in-law, though, Lena hesitated. Look after yourself. Don't take too much. I smiled, but I didn't say anything. That afternoon, I sat through meetings and heard nothing. Her voice echoed in my head. Barren, barren, barren. In the parking garage after work, I sat in my car for a long time before starting the engine. I didn't want to go home. I got back around 8. Margaret and James were eating. The table was a graveyard of leftovers. Oh, you're back. Thought you might have run off. Margaret scooped meat onto her plate. Yours is in the pot. Help yourself. I filled a bowl and sat down. James finished and went to the TV. Margaret and I were alone. Something I need to say, she said, putting down her chopsticks. Go ahead. I want James's name on the apartment deed. My chopsticks paused mid-air. Mum, my parents paid the down payment. We agreed before the wedding. It's my separate property. Separate property? You're married. Everything is joint. She slapped the table. James pays the mortgage every month. Why shouldn't his name be on it? Mum, the down payment was 40,000, all from my parents. Renovations were another 15, also from me. James only helps with the monthly payment. We settled this before we got married. Don't throw your parents in my face, she stood. Either you add James's name, or you pay your parents back and let my son buy this house himself. Mum, do you know what apartments cost now? This place is worth 180,000. James's salary couldn't cover it. Can't cover it? You're looking down on him. James jumped in from the couch. Emily, I've put up with this for years. You and your master's degree, your higher salary, always looking down on my family. James, I've never looked down on you. Then what was that? His salary can't cover it. That's a dig. You're saying I don't make enough. His face was red, jaw tight. I was just stating facts, not insulting you. Facts? The fact is, you resent me. He grabbed his water glass and hurled it at the floor. Glass shattered. If you're so miserable, divorce me. Stop pretending to be the victim. Margaret screamed. Son, calm down, talk it out. There's nothing to talk about. James pointed at me. Emily, hear me loud and clear. Either you put my name on this apartment, or you pay your parents back that 40,000, and we buy a new place together, both our names on it. I stared into his eyes. Anger, grievance, entitlement. Joint savings? What savings? Your 3 years of salary? Your bonuses? He laughed coldly. You've got at least 20,000 stashed. Don't tell me you spent it all. I know you're hiding money. James, our salaries go to the mortgage and living expenses. I don't have a secret fund. Your bonuses then? Last year you got 5. The year before, at least another 3 or 4. Where's that money? Margaret jumped in. Exactly. Did you give it to your parents? I stood. My bonuses paid property fees, heating, utilities, daily expenses. I can show you the receipts. Receipts? You're hiding it. Margaret came at me, finger in my face. You hand over that money, add James's name, or get out of this house. I stood in the bedroom, staring at my closet, not knowing what to take. My phone rang. Mum. Sweetheart, have you eaten? I sat on the bed, my voice cracking. Are you crying? Her voice shot to alarm. Is your mother-in-law at it again? Mum, I'm fine. Wait for me. I'll come tomorrow. Don't come. I wiped my eyes. Really? I just miss you. Then come home for a few days. I'll cook your favorites. I will, when I get time off. I hung up and sat there, staring at nothing. James pushed the door open. Have you thought about what Mum said? James, answer me one thing. What? If this apartment were in your name, your parents' down payment, would you add my name? He hesitated. That's different. Different how? I'm the man. You're the woman. A wife moves into her husband's house. That's how it works. He said it like it was gravity. Mum's right. If you really wanted this marriage, you wouldn't care about the deed. I laughed. A quiet, hollow sound. James, if I don't add your name, will you divorce me? Don't threaten me, he snorted. If you don't agree, your salary goes to Mum. She'll manage it. You'll get $200 a month allowance. Why? Because you can't manage money. It disappears into clothes and nonsense. He walked out. I stayed on the bed from 9 until 2 in the morning. Then I opened my laptop. I checked the mortgage balance. Just over 30,000 left. I checked my bank and investments. Together, about 12,000. I looked up rental prices. A studio near my office, $200 a month. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I texted my mum. If I get divorced, will you be disappointed? She replied instantly. Sweetheart, what happened? First, answer me. I won't be disappointed. I just want you to be happy. The tears came. Mum, I want to come home for a while. When? I'll pick you up. Tomorrow. Good. I'll be waiting. I took 3 days off. At 6 the next morning, I woke before anyone. James was still asleep. Margaret's room was silent. I packed my documents, passport, ID, marriage certificate, into one small suitcase. Then I went to the bank and withdrew everything. 12,300. Then I went to the sales office. Liu, the agent who'd sold me the apartment 3 years ago, recognized me. Emily, long time, what brings you? Leo, I want to return the apartment. He stared. You're joking. You've lived here over a year. You can't just return a property. The contract has a clause. If I pay off the loan early, the developer buys it back at 90% of the original price. He blinked. That clause is for foreclosure prevention. No one's actually used it. You'd lose a fortune. I need the money. He looked at me, then nodded slowly. Are you in trouble? Something like that. Just process it. It took all day. Because I'd bought it solo, James's signature wasn't needed. The appraised value was $180,000. The buyback came to $160,000. After clearing the mortgage, I'd get $120,000. Plus my savings, $132,000 total. Leo expedited it. 3 days for the wire. I thanked him, walked out with my suitcase, and stood on the sidewalk as dusk fell. James called. Emily, where are you? Mum says you're not home. James, I'm visiting my parents. They wanted me to stay a few days. Next time, just say so. Mum brewed your medicine. Don't bother, I'm not drinking it anymore. What's that supposed to mean? Exactly what I said. I hung up and turned off my phone. I took a taxi to the train station. 3 hours later, I was home. Mum was waiting at the gate, shivering in the cold. Sweetheart. I fell into her arms and sobbed. She just held me. My dad drove. He saw my face and sighed. We'll talk at home. It took all day. Because I'd bought it solo, James's signature wasn't needed. The appraised value was $180,000. The buyback came to $160,000. After clearing the mortgage, I'd get $120,000, plus my savings, $132,000 total. Leo expedited it. 3 days for the wire. I thanked him, walked out with my suitcase, and stood on the sidewalk as dusk fell. James called. Emily, where are you? Mum says you're not home. James, I'm visiting my parents. They wanted me to stay a few days. Next time, just say so. Mum brewed your medicine. Don't bother, I'm not drinking it anymore. What's that supposed to mean? Exactly what I said. I hung up and turned off my phone. I took a taxi to the train station. 3 hours later, I was home. Mum was waiting at the gate, shivering in the cold. Sweetheart. I fell into her arms and sobbed. She just held me. My dad drove. He saw my face and sighed. We'll talk at home. We were home past midnight. Mum made noodles. I pushed them around the bowl. What happened? She sat across from me. Tell me everything. I told her the 3-year story. The soup, the herbs, the office, the name, the money. When I finished, her eyes were wet. You've been through so much, sweetheart. Mum, I sold the apartment. Sold it? Dad put down his chopsticks. You just moved in last year. I used the buyback clause, got $120,000 after the mortgage. Mum and Dad exchanged a look. Are you thinking about divorce? Mum asked. I don't know. I hugged a cushion. I don't know what to do. Put the money somewhere safe. Don't rush. Dad lit a cigarette. Stay here. Clear your head. The next day, I texted James. I want a divorce. He took a while. Are you insane? No, I've thought it through. Over the name. Fine, forget it. Just let Mum manage your salary. I won't give my salary to your mum. It's my money. Then add my name. I won't. That's my parents' life savings. So what do you want? Divorce. He didn't reply. 30 minutes later, Margaret called. I ignored her 3 times. Then a voice message. Emily, hiding at your parents' won't save you. If you don't come back, I'll go to them myself and show them what kind of daughter they raised. I forwarded it to James. Can you control her? He replied, she's right. If you don't come back, she will. I screenshot everything and showed Mum. She shook with rage. What kind of people are they? Dad smoked in silence. Then, divorce. Absolutely divorce. The next day, I met Attorney Joe. She was professional, mid-40s. Miss Chen, you're sure? Yes. Assets. The apartment money, 120,000, is from pre-marital funds, legally yours. But they might claim a share of the mortgage payments made during marriage. He paid about 3,000 a month for 18 months, roughly 6,000. That 6,000 is marital property. You'd owe him half. She adjusted her glasses. You're 12,000 in savings. Some came from your salary during marriage. That's also divisible. I know, I accept that. Then I'll draft an agreement. I took the draft home and called James. I got a lawyer. I've sent you the proposal. He was hostile. A lawyer? Emily, you think you're so righteous? Not righteous, just trying to finish this cleanly. Cleanly? You sold the apartment without telling me, and now you want clean? His voice shook. I paid that mortgage for 18 months, and you sell it out from under me? James, it was pre-marital property. I'll give you back your share of the payments. Give me back? You're joking. That place is worth 180,000. You pocket 120, and I get pocket change. You think I'm stupid? James, the down payment and renovations were 55,000, all mine. You're 6,000, I'll give you 3. That's fair. Fair? I'll see you in court. Then sue me. I hung up. Mum came out of the kitchen. He refused. He wants half. Half, she scoffed. Dream on. James sued. When the summons arrived, I was helping Mum make dumplings. I looked at the paper and felt calm. If that's the only way, so be it. In court, Attorney Joe and I sat across from James and Margaret. Margaret started shouting the moment she saw me. You shameless woman, stole my son's money, took his house, and now you run. The judge's gavel came down. Silence in the court. She glared, but said nothing. The hearing lasted 2 hours. James's lawyer argued the apartment was marital property because we'd paid jointly. Joe submitted my down payment receipts, renovation invoices, and mortgage statements. Your Honor, my client paid 40,000 down payment and 15 for renovations, pre-marital. Joint payments totaled 6,400. She offers half, 3,200, to the defendant. James's lawyer also raised the 12,000 savings. Joe submitted the bank records. Of the 12,000, 5 was pre-marital savings. The remaining 7 is marital income. My client offers half, 3,500. The judge turned to James. Defendant, do you object to the plaintiff's proposal? James stood. Your Honor, I object. The apartment is worth 180,000. She's giving me 3,000? That's a joke. Because the down payment and renovations were the plaintiff's pre-marital funds, the judge said. Under law, pre-marital property isn't divided. But she's my wife. Her money is my money. James was shouting. Margaret jumped up. Judge, don't listen to her. Her parents paid that down payment, but she married us, so their money is our money. The judge frowned. Another outburst, and you'll be removed. The verdict: divorce granted. Emily's 12,000 savings, 3,500 to James. The apartment proceeds, 3,200 to James. Total, 6,700. Margaret burst into tears. 6,000? We'll appeal! James, face ashen, stared at me. Emily, you're ruthless. I said nothing. I packed my bag and walked out. 3 months after the divorce, I went back to the city. When I'd sold the apartment, I'd retained a right of first refusal. To my surprise, no one had bought it yet. I paid the same, 160,000, and bought it back. Leo was baffled. Emily, you sold it at a loss. You lost 20,000, and now you're buying it back for the same price. That's 20,000 gone, just like that. That 20,000 was tuition. The apartment was just as I'd left it, fresh paint on the walls. I lived alone, worked, slept, and the days passed quietly. One evening, Lena texted, Emily, guess what? James got remarried. Oh. Don't you want to know who soon? Who? Who? A divorced woman, 3-year-old daughter. Heard he paid 25,000 in bride price. I smiled. Good for him. Don't good for him me. I heard she fights with your ex-mother-in-law every day. Margaret's been telling people she misses you. Not my problem. Are you doing okay? Great. And I was. I got promoted. My salary rose. I saved money. Weekends were for the gym or dinner with friends, occasional trips home. I thought the Zhao family was done with me. I was wrong. It was late, nearly 11. I was walking to my car in the underground garage when I heard someone say my name. Emily? I turned. James was standing by an electric scooter, holding a thermal bag. He looked gaunt, unshaven, hollow-eyed. What are you doing here? I asked. Delivering. He looked down. You work late? Yeah. Silence. Then, Emily, can I talk to you? Go ahead. I was wrong. I said nothing. Everything my mother said, everything she did, it was wrong. His eyes reddened. I should have stood up for you. I should never have let her treat you that way. James, that's in the past. But I can't let it go. He wiped his eyes. The woman I married after you, she fights with my mother constantly. Mum's been hospitalized twice from stress. My entire salary disappears. I can't even afford cigarettes. That's your problem, not mine. Emily, please, can you give me another chance? He grabbed my hand. I'll divorce her. We can get back together. I pulled my hand free. No, that's not happening. Why? You're not seeing anyone, are you? No, but I'm not getting back with you either. Emily, I've changed. I'll protect you from my mum. I'll work harder for us. Just give me a chance. I shook my head. James, you still don't get it. The problem wasn't your mother. It was you. He froze. You were never on my side. I looked at him. Your mum called me barren. You said nothing. She came to my office and humiliated me. You said nothing. She demanded my salary and the deed. You said nothing. I know I messed up. I know it. Knowing doesn't fix it. Some things can't be undone. I opened my car door. Go home. Drive safe. I pulled away, watching him in the rearview mirror. Stationary, frozen. I thought that was the end, but a week later, Margaret came to my door. I was watching TV when the buzzer rang. I opened it to find Margaret, gaunt, hollow-cheeked, a shadow of herself. Emily. Before she could finish, she dropped to her knees. I jumped. Get up. What are you doing? Emily, please, save James. She was weeping, snot and tears. He divorced that woman. She emptied his accounts, took the car, even took my pension. He's drowning in debt. He can't even afford food. Get up first. Not until you agree. She clung to my pant leg, forehead hitting the floor in actual kowtows. I crouched and lifted her by the shoulders. Talk to me, slowly. She collapsed onto my couch, sobbing. That monster. 3 months into marriage, she drained everything. The car, my retirement fund. The police said domestic dispute, nothing they could do. Did you report her? Report her? They won't touch it. James works days, delivers at night. All his pay goes to creditors. He's wasting away. I was silent. Emily, I was terrible to you. I know it. I'm sorry. She wiped her face. Please, just consider taking him back. I'll never bother you again. I'll move back home. You'll never have to see me. Mrs. Zhao. I used the formal address. She blinked. What did you call me? Mrs. Zhao. James and I are divorced. His problems are his own. I kept my voice even. Coming to me won't change that. So you'd just abandon him? I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm not responsible for him. I met her eyes. Do you remember the day you came to my office with that thermos? She said nothing. Do you remember calling me a barren hen? She looked down. Do you remember telling me to get out of that house? Emily, Mum was wrong. I'll say it 1,000 times. I got up, walked to the door, and opened it. Please leave. She stayed put. Either you walk out, or I call the police. Slowly, she rose. At the threshold, she turned. Emily, you really won't help James? No. You'll regret this. No, I won't. The door closed. I leaned against it, exhaled, and trembled. That night, I called Mum. Mum, Margaret Zhao came today. What did she want? Tense. She begged me to remarry James, got on her knees. What? She has the nerve. Mum's voice rose. Tell me you didn't give in. I sent her away. Good. Stay away from them. If you go back, it'll be worse than before. I know, Mum. Sweetheart, I'll be honest. When you divorced, I was heartbroken. But now I see you thriving alone. I'm proud of you. Really, I'm fine. Then get some rest. Work tomorrow. I hung up. I picked up a framed photo from my nightstand. Mum, Dad, me on a beach in Florida, all grinning. I set it down and turned off the light. A month later, I ran into Lena on the subway. Emily? Big gossip. She squeezed over. What? James got married again. Again? Third time. This one's from out of state, 5 years older, also a divorcee. Bride price, 8,000. Margaret had to borrow from everyone. Mortifying. Wasn't he in debt? Oh, he still is. All borrowed for the wedding, because Margaret needs a grandchild. But the woman's 38. Who knows if she can even have kids? I smiled. Their problem, not mine. Mine. Emily, are you really over him? Completely. Lena gave me a thumbs up. You're my hero. I'd be a wreck. Not heroism, just clarity. The train arrived. I got off and walked home in the cool autumn air. I stopped at a florist and bought a bunch of lilies. In my apartment, I put them in a vase on the dining table. Small place, but mine. Every object chosen by me, every dollar earned by me. My phone buzzed. Mum, coming home this weekend, I'll make ribs. I texted back. Yes. 3 months after that, I ran into James at the supermarket. His cart was packed with instant noodles and frozen dumplings. He saw me, flinched, and turned away. "James," I called. He stopped, but didn't turn. "How are you?" "Fine." He still wouldn't face me. "Good." Silence stretched. "Emily, what I did, I'm sorry." "Let it go. It's over." "Yeah." He finally turned. His eyes were bloodshot. "You look thinner." "Working out. Lost a few pounds." "That's good." His smile was strained. "I better go. Someone's waiting for dinner." "Take care." "Bye." "Bye." 9. He walked away, hesitated, then disappeared into the crowd. I paid for my groceries and headed to the parking lot. Outside the supermarket, an old woman was begging, head down, white hair, a metal bowl with a few coins. I walked over and dropped in a couple of dollars. She looked up. Margaret. She was even thinner than before, face lined like cracked earth, her eyes unfocused. "Emily." Her voice was a whisper. I froze, grocery bag in hand. "James." Margaret's tears started. James was in an accident. His leg, they had to amputate. When she found out how much it would cost, she left, took everything. "We're broke. Sold the house. There's nothing left." She grabbed my pant leg. "Emily, can you lend us something? I'll beg. I'll kneel." She started to kowtow again. People stared. Someone pointed. I crouched, steadying her shoulders. "Mrs. Zhao, I can connect you with social services. They'll help." "I don't want services. I want money. James needs surgery." Her nails dug into my hand. 5,000. Just 5, please. I pulled away gently. "I can't help you." I turned and walked. Her cries followed me. "Emily, don't be cruel. Don't!" I moved faster. In the car, my hands shook on the steering wheel. I breathed deep. In, out. I pulled out of the lot. In the rear view, Margaret's silhouette shrank to a dot. I rolled down the window, and autumn wind hit my face, stinging my eyes. At a red light, the driver next to me honked. I'd let the light turn green without moving. I pressed the gas. My phone rang. "Mum, your father and I want to visit next month. Stay with you for a weekend. I'll get the spare room ready. And buy some good groceries. I'll cook." "Deal." I pulled over, parked, and cried into the steering wheel. Not for James, not for Margaret, for myself. For the woman who drank bitter herbs for 3 months. For the woman humiliated in her own office. For the woman who left in the dark with nothing but a suitcase. When the tears stopped, I wiped my face and drove home. I passed the florist. I bought another bunch of lilies. Back in my apartment, I put them in the vase. Outside, the city blazed with 1,000,000 lights, each a story, each a life. Mine was still being written. But the bad chapters, those were over. As the end. The autumn wind turned crisp as the weeks slipped by after my encounter with Margaret outside the supermarket. I'd deleted every contact tied to James and his mother months ago, yet I still set a small boundary for myself. I avoided the downtown grocery store where we'd crossed paths, switching to a boutique market closer to my modern downtown apartment. The space was all mine, floor-to-ceiling windows framing sleek glass skyscrapers, a wide balcony where I kept potted white lilies, the same blooms I'd taken to buying after the divorce. Work consumed most of my weekdays, and for the first time in 3 years, it didn't feel like an escape from a suffocating home. The company promoted me to senior project manager, raising my salary enough that I could afford weekend getaways. I booked a 3-day trip to a coastal city lined with minimalist European-style villas, driving along coastal highways under cloudless blue skies, with only my suitcase and a book beside me. No thermoses of bitter herbal medicine, no nagging voices hounding me about pregnancy or property deeds, no man who'd always stand silent while I was torn down. Lena met me for brunch every Sunday, and we rarely spoke of James and Margaret anymore. Once, she hesitated and pulled out a news snippet from the local community board. James had lost his delivery job after his leg amputation. Margaret begged outside subway stations every dawn to scrape together rent for a tiny basement room. Their third wife had vanished completely, leaving behind piles of unpaid medical bills. I skimmed the words, then folded the paper and set it aside, sipping my latte calmly. "I don't hate them anymore," I told Lena softly. "Pity's all I feel, but pity doesn't mean I owe them anything. I spent 3 years draining myself to meet their endless demands, and none of it was ever enough. Now I'm done pouring my life into people who only take." Lena reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You didn't just leave a bad marriage, you reclaimed yourself." That weekend, my parents drove into the city to stay with me. Dad helped me hang floating bookshelves along the living room wall, filling them with my professional textbooks I'd once feared Margaret would throw away. Mom cooked braised ribs in my open kitchen, her eyes soft as she watched me tend to my lilies on the balcony. Late at night, we sat on the sofa watching city lights stretch for miles, and Mom brought up the old apartment I'd bought back after selling it. "Are you happy living alone?" she asked quietly. I twisted the lily stem between my fingers, staring at the bright, unobstructed skyline outside the window. "Happier than I've ever been. I don't have to argue over whose name belongs on a deed. No one forces me to drink bitter medicine to fit someone else's standards. I set my own schedule, spend my own money on things I love, and no one gets to shame me for who I am or what I haven't given them." Dad nodded, lighting a cigarette out on the balcony. "We worried you'd feel lonely after the divorce, but seeing you like this, independent, calm, full of hope, we don't worry anymore." Chapter 9. The Old Herbal Thermos. One Saturday afternoon, I ran a charity booth for women trapped in toxic family marriages at the downtown plaza. I'd signed up to volunteer after realizing how many young women shared my pain, pressured by in-laws to conceive, stripped of their personal assets, ignored by silent, spineless husbands. I printed flyers with legal resources, free counseling hotlines, and guides to protecting pre-marital property, and handed them out to every woman who lingered by my table. Mid-afternoon, a hunched old woman shuffled toward my booth, clutching a dented stainless steel thermos. My blood ran cold when I recognized Margaret's gaunt, lined face. She'd lost more weight, her coat frayed at the cuffs, her shoes scuffed with holes. A crutch leaned against her hip, and she could barely stand straight. I tensed, ready to call the volunteer security guard if she grew aggressive, but she didn't fall to her knees this time. She set the thermos gently on the table between us, her voice thin and hoarse. "I found this in our old storage box. It's the thermos I carried to your office, full of herbal medicine every day." She stared at the metal surface, tears dripping onto the faded paint. "James's infection got worse. The hospital says he needs long-term rehab, and we have 0 money left. I don't dare beg your parents again. They shut the door in my face last week." I glanced at the thermos, flashbacks crashing over me. The stares from my office colleagues as I choked down bitter liquid, Margaret's sharp accusations calling me a barren hen, months of sleepless nights forced to brew herbs twice daily to satisfy her obsession with a grandchild. My chest tightened, but I didn't snap or walk away. I pulled a printed social service pamphlet from under the table and slid it toward her. This agency provides free rehabilitation funding for disabled, low-income residents, temporary housing, and mental health support for both of you. The contact information is all on the front page. I've already called them this morning. They can schedule an appointment for you two on Monday. Margaret stared at the pamphlet, refusing to touch it. I don't want charity from strangers. I want help from you. You have a stable job, a whole apartment all to yourself. You could spare a little cash. The money I earn pays my mortgage, my bills, my savings, and the women's charity booth we're running right now. I kept my tone steady, no anger, no malice. I gave James his legal share of our joint payments during the divorce. I've fulfilled every legal obligation I had to your family. I can offer you resources to get official aid, but I cannot give you cash. That boundary is non-negotiable. She slammed her palm lightly on the table, desperation sharpening her tone. You're cold-hearted. All this success you have, and you won't lift a finger for the man you once married. I was cold-hearted when you marched into my workplace and humiliated me in front of my team. When you threw my new coat on the floor and called my hard-earned money wasteful. When you demanded I hand over all my salary and rewrite my property deed to suit your son. I tilted my chin up, gazing straight at her. I spent 3 years softening myself to accommodate every single one of your demands, and you never once treated me with kindness or respect. I don't owe you or James a single cent, and I don't owe you my sympathy beyond directing you to professional help. A group of passers-by began to glance over, and Margaret's face flushed with shame. She grabbed the dented thermos and the pamphlet, shoving them roughly into her tattered bag, then hobbled away without another word. I watched her retreating figure, and this time there was no trembling, no grief welling up in my throat. The old wounds hadn't vanished entirely, but they'd stopped bleeding. Lena walked over with a cup of warm tea, setting it beside my hand. You handled that better than I would have. I would have sent her packing the second she showed up. I used to blame myself for every fight, every rift between us, I told her, wrapping my fingers around the warm mug. Now I understand. Some people won't change, no matter how much you compromise. Their greed and resentment aren't my burden to carry. Chapter 10, New Beginnings, Unwritten Pages. Winter rolled into the city, blanketing the glass skyscrapers in soft snow. I renovated the spare room in my apartment into a small reading studio, lined with warm lamps and a windowsill overflowing with white lilies. I stopped avoiding crowded markets and public plazas. If I ever spotted Margaret or James lingering on the street, I simply crossed to the other sidewalk, no lingering glances, no tangled emotions. Their lives were a separate story, one I'd closed the book on long ago. Over the holiday break, I took a solo international trip to a modern European metropolis, wandering wide tree-lined avenues, visiting art galleries and dining at rooftop cafes overlooking the city skyline. I sent my parents postcards every night, filled with photos of grand architecture and blooming winter flowers. Mum texted me back each time, saying how proud she was to see me travel and live freely, unshackled by anyone's expectations. On New Year's Eve, I hosted a small dinner party at my apartment for Lena and several friends from work. We drank wine, laughed, and talked about our career goals and travel plans. No one brought up ex-husbands or overbearing in-laws. The conversation revolved only around our own dreams, our own futures. As midnight hit, we stepped onto the balcony to watch fireworks burst over the downtown skyline, painting the dark sky in gold and pink. After everyone left, I stood alone on the balcony, holding a vase of fresh lilies. The city stretched endlessly below me, thousands of glowing windows, each belonging to someone carving out their own life. I thought back to the woman I'd been 3 years prior, trapped in a tiny apartment, forced to drink bitter herbal soup every night, terrified to stand up for my own property and self-worth, begging my husband to defend me while he chose silence time and time again. That woman was still a part of me, but she no longer defined me. The money I'd lost, selling and repurchasing my apartment, hadn't been a waste. It had been the price of freedom. The tears I'd cried, the arguments I'd endured, the humiliation I'd borne had all taught me one unshakable truth. My worth didn't depend on bearing children, sharing property, or bending myself thin to satisfy a family that would never value me. My life was mine alone to shape. My phone lit up with a text from my mother. "Next spring, your father and I will fly out to visit you. We'll plant lily bulbs on your balcony together. Starsta." I smiled, typing a quick reply before setting my phone down. A soft winter breeze brushed my cheeks, carrying the faint, sweet scent of the lilies in my hands. Some chapters of life are heavy, bitter, full of regret and pain, like the bowl of herbal soup that haunted me for months. But those chapters end. New pages open, blank and bright, waiting to be filled only with the life I choose for myself. The bad days were far behind me. From this moment forward, every story left to write belonged solely to Emily, unburdened, independent, and finally, fully free. #Epilogue Spring Lilies. 6 months later, spring bloomed across the city. The lily bulbs my parents planted on the balcony sprouted tall, full white blooms that filled the apartment with a gentle fragrance every morning. I turned down a sudden work transfer offer to a different country, not because I feared change, but because I'd built a home here, a safe space that was entirely mine. One afternoon, I passed the courthouse where my divorce trial had taken place, and I paused for a moment to stare at its stone steps. I didn't feel sadness or anger anymore, only quiet gratitude. That courtroom hadn't just dissolved a broken marriage. It had given me back the right to own my life, my money, my home, and my happiness. I walked to the florist on the corner and bought a huge bouquet of lilies, carrying them back to my apartment as sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows. I set them in a large ceramic vase on the dining table, glancing at the city skyline glinting in the spring sunshine. No more bitter soup, no more demands, no more silent husbands or controlling in-laws. Just me, my lilies, and a whole lifetime of bright, unwritten days ahead.